Hello, hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to the Uncharted and Unfiltered A Journey Back to You podcast. I am your host, Cynthia Jamieson, and today we're going to dive into a topic that is close to my heart, which is what it really takes to live and lead authentically. Now, this year, I have chosen expansion as my word of the year. For those of you who do that, great. If those of you don't do that, that's great too. Now, my intention is to choose love over fear and my stretch goal, choosing joy. Now, I will tell you, it's only the 17th of January as I record this, and this journey is asking a lot of me, but I'm embracing it. It's challenging me to be vulnerable, to lead with wholeheartedness, and to trust that being fully myself is more than enough. So, this episode today was inspired by a poem that I heard earlier that literally took my breath away. And I just, as soon as I heard it, well, not necessarily as soon as, but shortly after I heard it, I was like, I need to do a podcast episode on this. So that's what I did. It is called Because by Rosemary Watola Tromer. And it speaks to the courage that it takes to open your heart, especially when the world feels heavy. And I don't know about you, but for me, the world feels exceptionally heavy these days. And so if you are ready to explore how small steps can lead to big change, I invite you to stick with me. Now, here is the poem that inspired it all. I want to share it with you. Now, as I read it, I invite you to let the words sink in, to allow them to touch all of those parts and places that you might feel guarded or uncertain about. And here's the poem. So, I can't save the world. I can't save even myself. Can't wrap my arms around every frightened child. Can't foster peace among nations. Can't bring love into all who feel unlovable. So I practice opening my heart right here in this room and being gentle. With my insufficiency, I practice walking down the street heart first. And if it's insufficient to share love, I will practice loving anyway. I want to converse about truth. About trust, I want to invite compassion into every interaction. One willing heart can't stop a war. One willing heart can't feed all the hungry. And sometimes, daunted by a task too big, I tell myself, what's the use of trying? But today, the invitation is clear to be ridiculously courageous in love, to open the heart like a lilac in May, knowing freeze is possible and opening anyway, to take love seriously, to give love wildly, to race up to the world as if I were a puppy, adoring and unjaded, stumbling on my own exuberance, to feel the shock of indifference, of anger, of cruelty, of fear, and stay open, to love as if it matters, as if the world depends on it. I just want to pause for a moment because I don't know about you, but that brought up the emotions that I felt when I heard it. And for me, one line stands out, which is to open the heart like a lilac in May, knowing freeze is possible and opening anyway. It so beautifully speaks of choice. This captures the essence of what it means to choose love over fear. And it's about daring to open, even when you know it could hurt. I've realized that vulnerability is not a one-time decision, it is a practice. And this practice is the cornerstone of living and leading authentically. Now, there are a few things that I want to share here, lessons in leadership and in love that I have learned. The first is when I chose expansion as my word of the year, I thought it might mean making bold, big moves. But what I've discovered is that expansion often starts with small intentional acts, like pausing to truly listen, offering kindness in moments where it's least expected, or simply letting someone see who you are, your true self, your essence. Now, a few weeks ago, I made a conscious choice to be fully present in a conversation. I put down my phone, making eye contact, and listened with all of my heart. And it didn't seem like much at the time, but I felt the shift both in myself and in the other person. They felt seen, and that small act of love deepened our relationship more than I could have imagined. The energy of us witnessing each other allowed so much more depth, so much more beauty, so much more connection. And this is something that I do all day, every day in a coaching conversation with a client because that is my role as a coach, to show up and be fully present with them and to hold space in a way that allows them to feel that. And it's harder for me to do in my personal life. It's harder for me to do in interactions that I'm having with people that I have in my life that I value. And it's challenging me to do this much more presently, much more authentically in all of those places and spaces as well. And so here is a challenge for you today. Think of one conversation where you can be fully present. Put down your phone, make that eye contact, and listen with your whole heart and notice what happens within you. Now, the second lesson that I want to share with you is around vulnerability being a strength, not a weakness. And I know that I've said this many times before on the podcast, but in my time as an HR professional, I have had to lay off employees and navigate some of the most difficult conversations that come with changing someone's life. But here's what I can tell you from my heart to yours. It is not about following a script. And as an HR professional, lots of times we had a script to follow. But it's not about that. It's about showing up as a human being instead. And in that, I have learned that being vulnerable has created so much trust. I can't tell you how many people that I've had this conversation with, but I can tell you this. I've had occasion when I've had instances, conversations with people where I've made a request. Would you mind letting me know when you get home? Or can I check in on you? Because it wasn't about having all of the answers. It was about caring enough to show up authentically for them, with them. Now, out of all of those hundreds of conversations, one particular experience stands out to me because I had an employee that I had to lay off, and after the conversation, I asked if they would allow me to check in on them, and they agreed. And that simple act opened a door for a deeper, more meaningful conversation. It wasn't about professionalism alone. It was about a real connection, and that's leadership. But I will also be honest, it is not always easy. Vulnerability takes courage, especially when fear creeps in and whispers, but what if they don't understand your request? And so it takes work, it takes effort, but I just trusted myself enough to know that in that space, in that moment, that that was the thing that I was being asked and called to do. And it was totally okay. I can make the request of them. And if they chose not to me up on it, that was going to have to be okay with me. So I just want you to invite you to think about the next time that you face a challenging situation, and you will as a leader. Just pause and ask yourself, what would leading with love look like here? Maybe it's admitting a mistake, or maybe it's admitting to someone or saying to someone, I see you, I hear you, because that is leadership that resonates. Now, the third lesson that I'm learning is around joy as a stretch goal, because choosing love and joy is intentional. It's about celebrating progress. It's not about perfection. And in the case that I shared earlier, it wasn't about a grand gesture. It was about showing care. It was about asking someone to let me know that they got home safe. And that opened up the space for connection. And that simple act of joy can make all the difference, because joy invites us to be fully alive. And yes, that can feel vulnerable too. But the more that we practice it, the more we show up for it, the more natural it becomes. So I'm curious, what brings you joy? Maybe it's a walk in nature, and maybe it's a favorite song or a quiet moment of gratitude. But I encourage you to commit to one small act of joy today and let it expand your heart. So let's bring this to life with a few practical steps, because you all know I love the practical steps. The first one is to just ask yourself, where in your life are you holding back from opening your heart? Write it down, because awareness is the first step toward change. The second thing is Take a small, courageous step. Reach out to someone who you've been distant with or offer a simple thank you more often because small acts of love really, really matter. And the third one is to reflect. Just ask yourself, did I lead with love today? And where can I expand tomorrow? So here's my challenge to you. Over the next week, choose one interaction each day to approach courage and openness and notice how it feels and what shifts for you and those around you. So thank you so much for joining me on this episode and this journey today. If this episode resonated with you, share it with someone who could use a reminder that they are enough just as they are. And if you're enjoying this podcast, I would be so grateful if you would leave a review. It helps us reach more incredible souls like you. And remember, choosing joy over fear is a practice. Expansion is a practice. Leadership is a practice. And every moment is an opportunity to step into your authenticity. You are enough, and the world is better because you're in it. So take care, and I will see you back here next week on Uncharted and Unfiltered. I hope that you're walking away feeling more aligned with your true self, more confident in the choices ahead, and ready to leave the safe path behind, knowing you've got everything you need within. Remember, the journey to you isn't about finding one perfect direction. It's about trusting yourself enough to explore all of it. If you're ready to dive deeper, join me for the next episode and don't forget to subscribe so that you never miss the next step on your path. I invite you to join my mailing list at www.cynthiajamisoncoach.ca, where we'll deepen our relationship and you can claim your copy of Your Inner Compass, a guide to charting your course to authenticity. Until next time, stay unfiltered, stay true, and most importantly, stay you.